Hello there, how are you all doing? Right, first of all I want to thank you all for the comments that I received on the last video. Really lifted my spirits. It was lovely to hear some of the messages that some of you gave me. It was really nice. Unfortunately, TikTok, for some reason, has restricted that video over concern over drug use, which is very quite confusing because I didn't mention drugs once in that video. It's really annoying. And when you try and dispute the measures that TikTok takes, we can't actually dispute them. If you try and appeal, you can't give you reasons for appealing, or any kind of communication with them, which is really annoying. I mean, I've experienced the same thing with regards to copyright as well. You can't actually dispute copyright claims, and it's even when they say to go and take it up with the creator that's stolen your work, they don't tell you who it is, which is ridiculous. Even though it says in the help settings, oh yeah, just go and dispute it with them. You know what I mean? All right, just click the button on their video to report it, and follow the steps. Well, it'd help if you told me where, number one, who it was, and number two, which video. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That platform's a freaking joke. Yeah, you get more views, but it's just ridiculous. I mean, at least on YouTube, yeah, they're dickheads, but at least they allow you to dispute the claims. And with my music, as far as my music's concerned, I can resolve them in seconds, because people try and retroactively claim against my music, which is hilarious when I show them a link to the video where I published it, and it's like published about 5 years before they even tried claiming copyright on it. So it's obvious that they've stolen it, right? You know what I mean? Anyway, that's beside the point. Enough of my problems with TikTok. The reason why I'm making this video is because of this. I'm going to play you something. This is Dinobane's YouTube channel.
It's about an altercation involving Charlie Kirk, but nothing confirmed about an assassination. Regardless, the idea of political violence escalating to that point in a developed nation is deeply concerning. And your point about polarization is well taken. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. If people are driven to violence over debate, it suggests a complete breakdown of civil discourse, a loss of common ground, and a willingness to dehumanize opponents. And yes, that level of animosity could absolutely be fueled by manipulating emotions, exploiting fears, and presenting narratives that paint the other side as an existential threat. If people believe their very way of life is at stake, they're more likely to resort to extreme measures. It's really scary when you break it down like that. Are you feeling...
Ooh. Now, there are a few things in that. Number one, it's an AI, right? And despite what people think, you can manipulate the AI to tell you what you want people to hear, yeah? Or what you want to hear. You can sort of twist it so it gives you the answer that you're looking for, yeah? The false answer, I mean. It's a very deceptive tool. You know why. Well, anyway. The other thing is how it began. And it turned around and said they've not seen any kind of reports of an assassination, but of an altercation. Now, this is an AI saying this about news reports, right? If you think about the people out there that aren't There's terminally onliners as well, who aren't, don't necessarily use the same sorts of resources that we do. Yeah? On the right side of the political persuasion, I mean, then they're going to get reports of an altercation, whereas we get reports of assassination. This is media manipulation again. Hour by hour, 307 days a week, 52 weeks a year, 12 months, yeah, every single waking hour, minute, second, every day. If you consume media, you're being propagandized. It's something that I've been trying to explain implicitly for ages, yeah, trying to explain to people. That's just one example, yeah, of the way that people can be manipulated through just something as subtle as an AI, yeah, just doing that. There are other means, yeah. The media landscape, right, has been a wonderful sort of tool on either side, yeah, of the political spectrum, of the class divide, of the us versus them mentality, yeah. Propaganda's been used for millennia. Most famous examples are the Roman circuses, yeah, where they portrayed a narrative through blood and violence, and they gave it away free to the people, even fed them, to ensure that their version of events were the ones that were remembered. The same deal happens today on a vastly different scale, but the methods and techniques are still roughly the same. They're just adapted. Yeah? Same with the psychological warfare. That's been happening since time immemorial, when one caveman turned to the other and said, "Here, come here," and then smacked him over the back of the head, like, as he was walking past. It's been a staple. Like I said, the methods still stay the same, but the technology changes, and the adaptability and the successfulness of that methodology. Sun Tzu can still be applied today, 2,000-3,000 years after his death, for instance. Same with Alexander the Great, Caesar. At first, it was always the printed word, the written word. Yeah? That is how it began initially. And word of mouth stories. Yeah? I'm talking recent times here, not time immemorial, but recent times. And the ways in which people were coerced, cajoled and manipulated, a lot of those techniques were developed by Edward Bernays during World War II. He developed most of the techniques that are used in militarising and in propaganda today. His techniques were adopted by people like Joseph Goebbels and Joseph Stalin, and used on their own people. In fact, Goebbels was so good at it that Bernays often said that although he was the grandfather of propaganda techniques, Joseph Goebbels took them, mastered them and accentuated and elevated them to a level he could never have imagined. And he is more the father of modern day propaganda. He took film, music and everything else to a whole new level.
daily reminder that if you stand against Israel in this war, you side with Hamas. If you stand with Hamas, here are some things you get in the box. Rapists, pedophiles, kidnappers, murderers, pathological liars, terrorists, jihadists, genocidal maniacs. As long as we're clear, there is no third side here. You either stand with Israel or you stand with Hamas. There is no option C. On top of that, standing with Hamas means standing with falsehoods and fabrications. It means you've fallen for the propaganda machine of a globally recognized terrorist organization. So let's be clear, so there are no misunderstandings. Contrary to what you've been told, here are some truths you might want to know about. 1. There has never in the history of the world been an Arab-Palestinian state. It never existed. Don't believe me? No problem. Tell me when this imaginary state was established, and tell me what the national anthem was. Don't bother Googling it. It never existed. And by the way, it never will either. 2. Israel is not committing genocide. Hamas, on the other hand, is proud to declare that its goal is indeed genocide. It wants every inch of Israel and all Israelis, plus every one of their Jewish brothers, dead. The ratio between Hamas terrorist and innocent civilian death in Gaza is unparalleled, and any military strategist will
Anyway, nowadays the modern propagandist has a far wider choice of methods at his disposal in which to manipulate the masses. Manipulation that up until 2012 wasn't as prevalent or invasive, shall we say, as it is now. And the reason being is the repeal of the Smith-Mundt Act in the US. This actually affected the rest of the world, the rest of the Western world, although yes, we were kind of propagandized before 2012. We were kind of protected behind that ally sort of barrier. And so the propaganda and the psychological warfare that America played out over the rest of the world didn't so much affect us in the same way until they repealed that act, and then it all ramped up. Floodgates opened, and then they started manipulating their entire populations and all of their allied populations. This was why it was removed. The techniques that they use are incredible. The way they've adapted and modified altered the some of the less effective previously techniques, such as, say for instance, the false equivalence principle, where you, I think it was during one of the political rants, it might have been in my diary episode, I showed you just one of the techniques that the mainstream media uses to influence how you think. And I used a clip of GB News actually using this technique, which is visual equivalency, which basically means you take film footage of someone you want to make look bad, and you play a voiceover over the top maybe, or something someone's saying about someone else who is really bad, and through certain insertions of pauses and other things you can actually switch someone's sort of attention from knowing that what this person is talking about isn't anything to do with the actual visuals that are on screen, to look like you want to sound like a bad guy, yeah? When in reality, you aren't a bad guy, yeah? If you get what I mean. Things you could actually switch someone's sort of attention from knowing that what this person is talking about isn't anything to do with the actual visuals that are on screen, to instantly putting them both together. It's extremely easy to do, especially with TV. But there are others. Like everyone knows about the way that that news organisations will edit certain things together. Yeah, they'll take footage of, say, a person talking, and then they'll cut away as they're carrying on the conversation to a very attentive looking interviewer nodding away. Now, when it cuts back to the actual person that's being interviewed, what you won't realise is during that time there's been a cut in the audio. And they'll have cut something out, yeah, to make you maybe want to look like you want to sound like a bad guy, yeah? When in reality, you aren't a bad guy, yeah? If you get what I mean. But like I said, they'll edit it in that way to make it look like that was the main focus of what I was talking about, yeah? Anything to make it look bad. But they'll also take clips out of context, yeah? They'll deliberately start them in the middle of a sentence, yeah? So it removes the actual beginning sort of lead up of the statement that they're making, and then deliberately cut it at the end to cut out the end part of the remarks or the conclusion, yeah, of the statement that's being made. Now, it's not just the MSM that do this, it's also the truth movement in a way that also does this as well. I mean, obviously, some of those clips that are done in that way are inserted into our sphere to discredit us. Yeah, because a lot of people, they see someone saying something, and they will take it as golden, yeah, as being true. But if you know what to look for, yeah, like little jump cuts, the way someone will be slightly, will suddenly jump in position, yeah, they won't move smoothly, yeah. That's one way you can tell when someone's been edited, yeah, during the clips, and I see these loads all over the place, yeah. People do it for the anti-Semitic stuff a lot. They'll take rabbis, sort of stuff that certain rabbis say, or statement when they're quoting statements from passages from the Torah or the Talmud, and they'll edit them in such a way that it makes them look horrendous when in actual fact they didn't even say what they were saying, or it is something that's in there but it's the way they've edited it, it takes it out of context. I mean, you could do the same with the Bible, you could do the same with the Quran, yeah? If you don't have that opening part, yeah, that lead up before the statement is made, and then that conclusion after, it completely, totally changes the actual meaning of whatever is being said. And this is a technique that's used a lot. And like I said, not just by the mainstream media, but by us as well, unfortunately. People assume that they're helping and they're not. Let's use Russell Brand as an example because it's more recent and it's fresher in people's minds. When you saw reports of Russell Brand being accused of sexual offences, yeah. Whenever they showed Russell Brand, yeah, they would talk about a previous sexual offender such as Jeffrey Epstein or Jimmy Savile, or likewise vice versa. Whenever they talked about these whenever they were speaking to Russell Brand, they'd show them. Whenever they were speaking about Russell Brand and showing Russell Brand, they'd speak about those other people. This does two things, right? It first of all, with the right pauses and the right sort of cuts, you can basically trick a person's subconscious into deleting what someone has said about what you're seeing and replace it with something else that will alter people's perception. Yeah. So, like I said, they're talking about Russell Brand up until they start showing clips. They pause for a cough or to think of a pointless question, right? Whilst they're doing this, they're intercutting 3 or 4 different clips of Russell Brand in quick succession, yeah? And then they add in their new line of reasoning through what they're talking about. So then people forget that the original people that they're speaking of is someone like Savile or Epstein, yeah? As they're showing clips of Russell Brand. That pause takes away the first section and replaces it with what follows. So even though they're talking about Epstein and Savile still, your brain automatically associates what they're talking about with Russell Brand. Do you understand? That's one of the simplest forms. There's countless other ways. I've touched on them briefly in my Media, Mindspace and Manipulation videos, but if you want a masterclass in propaganda techniques and deceptive video content and just general insaneness, and I applaud these people, I really do, because they have a huge, they've got a vast, they're genius talent, they really have. It's Hamas. I've debunked 2 of their videos before, right? Just thoroughly, because you could tell they were fake. They made lots of mistakes. They always do. Yeah? You can't be helped. Certain things will make it look fake, but these days they've started using AI as well. And this is where things are going to get very problematic. Because although at the moment we can still kind of tell when it's AI that's being used, that window and those mistakes that it makes is rapidly diminishing. And it's not a daily or monthly or yearly basis, it's hourly. It's getting better and better and better. It's already at the point now where we can't really tell, even through photographs, that it's AI, unless you use a tool that actually detects it, and even then it can be fooled. I'm going to do a follow-up mini-series to Media, Mindspace and Manipulation, just on media alone, I think. And if that's something you'd like to see, then please tell me in the comments. Alright, thanks a lot.